So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to have everybody rise for a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so first thing we got over here is the open forum. So this is going to be a time for the public to address the council on matters that are not currently on the agenda. So if you're here for the public assessment hearing, we have a dedicated spot for that at that time. No action or discussion will be taken during the public comment period of the agenda, but issues raised will be reviewed for follow-up. Is there anyone here for the public forum?
Nancy, I think, right? No, Nancy, no.
All right. If there isn't anybody, thank you. And we will go ahead and close the public forum and go on to tonight's agenda. Council, have you had a chance to take a look at the agenda?
Yep.
Any amendments or changes, clarifications?
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda.
All right, I have a motion to approve by Pat,
Second that motion.
a second by Jan. All in favor? Aye. All right, and on to tonight's consent agenda. Anybody have any questions, clarifications?
No.
All right. I will go ahead and make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Troy. All in favor? Aye. Okay, all right. So now we will go ahead and move on to item 3 on our agenda. That'll be the public hearing, the assessment final hearing for the 2021 improvement project. So I will go ahead and open that. So to put, to kind of structure things for everybody here, tonight's public hearing is for the proposed final assessment for the 2021 street improvement project. If anyone has a written objection, please hand that notice to the city clerk or Cindy. As stated in the letter that you received, in order to formally appeal your assessment, you must have submitted in writing your objection before the end of this public hearing. So what we'll do is at this time, I will have Kent, the city engineer from Bolton Mink, to present the information regarding tonight's assessment.
Thank you. So I've got a brief presentation on the screen up there. Hopefully you can see it. I'll talk about the scope of the project, cost of the project, and the assessments. So the project, let's see here. I'm gonna have to reach. The cords don't quite reach the pole. So we'll do the tape down. So the project was on Coleman Avenue from Brook Street, 200 feet east of Bell Street, Rose Avenue from Brooks to Bell. On Brook Street, from Stearns Avenue to Coleman Avenue, Maple Street from Stearns Avenue to Coleman Avenue, and on Bell Street from Stearns to Coleman Avenue. The improvements made under the project included replacing all of the existing city utilities and reconstructing the streets. The new sanitary sewer consists of 8-inch PVC pipe and ductile iron pipe. There's new manholes, sewer services were replaced to the right of way, and the new sewer main is deeper to alleviate some of the shallow freezing issues that existed previously. Water main consists of 8-inch PVC and ductile iron pipe. Hydrants and valves were replaced throughout the project. New services were extended to the right of way, and a new water main loop was constructed as well. The storm sewer system was constructed within this project, and of course the street construction is underway. The total costs on the project are budgeted at $3,565,552.90. That's comprised of $1,849,024 from the Clean Water Revolving Fund, $1,236,335 from the Drinking Water Revolving Fund, $480,000 $193.90 to be funded by the city. So as I mentioned, the Clean Water and Drinking Water Revolving Fund are revolving fund programs administered by the Minnesota Public Facilities Authority. Funding the city received on those consists of a 1% loan, and the remainder of the city costs would be funded through a combination of reserve funds, bond proceeds, and special assessments. The assessments on this project follow the city's assessment policy, where 40% of the street construction costs are assessed to the abutting properties, and the assessment rate for street construction is $54.24 per foot. 40% of replacement curb is assessed to abutting properties. That assessment rate is $8.16 per foot. And where new curb is constructed, where there was not any curb existing previously, 100% is assessed to the abutting properties. That assessment rate is $20.41 a foot. Sanitary sewer, water main, storm sewer, and sidewalks are not assessed. And the final assessment rates are based on actual contract amounts that the city has in place, as opposed to the preliminary assessment rates that were presented about a year and a half ago at the improvement hearing. Those were based on our estimate at the time of what the project would cost. So if we compare the final assessment rates to those preliminary rates, the street assessment rate increased by $1.97. The curb replacement assessment rate decreased by $1.44, and new curb assessments decreased by $3.59. Following this public hearing, the council will consider adopting a resolution adopting the assessment rule. So once that's done, once the council has adopted the assessment rule, the assessments can be paid in full within 30 days with no interest on the assessment amount. If they are not paid within 30 days, the assessments get recorded with the county, and then you would see them on your property tax statement as a line item on there. The payment term for the assessments is 20 years, and an interest rate of 4%. At any time in the future, after the assessments have been recorded with the county, it can be paid off in full, and the payoff amount will include all of the interest up to December 31st of that year. If that is something that the property owner plans to do at some point in the future, they must make that payment by November 15th. Otherwise, the interest for the following year would also be due. And that's all I have.
All right.
The presentation.
All right, thank you, Ken. All right, so for the next part of the public hearing here will be anyone who wishes to speak. If I can have you, must step up to the podium, and if I can have you state your full name and your physical address. That way we can look that up on our end. And then I would ask that we please limit your comments to just the topic of the special assessment, that it's limited to one person per household, and that we keep your comments brief and roughly around that 2-minute time frame. Council at this time will not respond to each individual, but we will wait until the end, at the end of the public hearing, for any discussion on anything that was presented from any of the residents. At this time, Cindy, do you have a list of?
I do. I have 4. Do you want them now, or? I have 4 that have been submitted. The first one is in regarding parcel ID, address 574 Brook Street North, parcel ID 50 5.30666.000, has made a formal objection to his assessment. The second one is from Brookview Apartments, and it was the address, 2 parcel IDs, 50.30649 and 50.30625. He also, or they object to their assessments. A third one came in, is filed as owners of parcel ID 50.30773, and that's Teicher. And the fourth one is for 2 parcels, 50.30768, 50.30769, and that's Bruce Conrad is objecting to the assessment. And those are the only ones at this point that have been turned in, written.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so then what we'll do is I will go ahead and call out each one. Again, if you can step up to the podium, state your full name, your physical address, that way we got it on recording. And then, you'll have 2 minutes for any comments you'd like to make. So at this time, I'd like to call up, would it be Michael Tim?
You don't have to, these people,
Oh, no,
yeah, he's here. So.
okay.
My name is Michael Tim. You want my physical address or property?
Physical address of the property that you're talking about.
Okay, property 515 Fort Brooks.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, I'm sitting there trying to make our own property work for the city and fixed income. And the taxes keep going up, insurance that I'm sure all you people are aware of, on whether it's real property or and I have assessed with $11 and that's $280. In order to I'm probably gonna have to raise that to a point that I asked. But anyway, I did some research on it, and the Minnesota statutes, 429.051, property improvements to be on benefits received. The parcel of my ID is 50.30666.0000, will not be approved by $11,290.81 as a result of the improvements. You probably go there rents for $500 a month. So it's just confused. So, and do I walk away from the property or what do I do at this point? I need help because I can't justify that kind of assessment on that property. I'd like to explain what kind of benefits I'm supposed to get, first of all. Streets, draw out my shade trees, and put in a curb. Means nothing for me. Water running down the street before, water running down the street now. I don't know how I can justify that $1,000, over $1,000. Now, when I was over here, during the time this construction was going on, it was blocked off for all this time here. There are these 2 enormous tanks out there. I think that was part of that cleanup over there at the car dealership. I don't know, filtration system or something. It sat down for a while. So it's been nothing but anything that needs to be any huge cost. So, having said that, I'd like somebody to explain to me how I'm supposed to get $11,280.81. On most assessments, now I'm chairman of the board of Harrison Capital, West Black, the Black Lake Sanitary District, and when we assess property, somebody's on a corner lot, we assess one side, and that's it. I don't know what this is based on, I'm assuming it's based on the entire term. If that's the case, what are you assessing these churches who have twice as much property, and they have two sides? I don't where you guys coming from for this, I'm assuming it's based on footage, is that what's going on? Correct. And, being assessed on two streets is completely improbable. And I cannot justify $11,290.81. I will never recover it.
Alright.
So,
Thank you for your comments.
right? So now I've been here and I said that, is anything gonna be changed, done? What is gonna be the response? Is it main response? Is it just gonna be blow over that waste my trip there? I said,
We'll have a formal, we'll discuss this as a whole after everybody's had a chance to make some comments. All right. See, and then I said I don't need to call them up individually. I can just open it up, right?
Right, and
Okay.
then they'll raise their hand if they have something to say.
Okay. And anybody else from the gallery that would like to make some comments at this time?
You can certainly read that. They don't, but you certainly can read it if you want to. Okay.
Bruce Conrad, we all on Rose, home very specific address there, the original house. So, your work. Shade tree runs through my properties, I got 300 things there. You dump all the water in the culverts, I dump on the street that exists between my lots. I'd be way on the east end of curves up there now. She has a list of things where I'm questioning the value because it's wetland at $2,500 in 6 lots. $25,000 is never going to be recouped. You count it, repeatedly have been involved with wetlands, you count out here, and he's always saying, county again, certified as a wetland, I don't know. Or they did ask, can't get sewer and water. But if I want to fight later whether or not it's wetland, whether or not it's buildable, after your sewer and water at a later date, it would be ludicrous to tear the streets off. So I asked him to make sure it was not. He said it's very, everybody's going to get it. I said that's fine. So I don't think that street and all that doing any good. Did nothing but take away my scenic value of the trees, took away the park field, the neighborhood, took away land, increasing water. But I don't object to the actual cost of bringing in the sewer stuff and water stuff. If that's not broken out, I'm saying to do that, you guys understand. So at some point, if you can break those costs out, I said, that's part of that. The rest of it, looks like. The other question I have is, you have to sign easements. I don't know when I signed. I came in, got a copy of this or not from your assistant. I don't know which one they signed. Apparently you got temporary easements with a 10-foot work right away and permits. That's in all permit third place on my property, with easement. I don't believe I signed off on that. I mean, it's not constitutional taking. Anybody that has your work permit on their property in the Constitution of the United States, you cannot take property without just compensation. You can't use it, you can't include it in your project. Said you never had the appropriate width. You want property to do this project, you have to go on the neighboring property. Finish it, just go to the road. So I want a copy of the road, they go back out once you've approved them and signed it. I want to see that I sign the temporary easement, the permanent easement, the permanent. I'm going to have to watch the constitutional training. The way I'm slipping those in there. Yeah, I'm sure anybody got that letter was under the impression they have to sign it. No, we do not have to sign it. Permanent use of our property. That's all I got. My reasons for dispute and rest it are on sheet. You can look at that. If we can come to the reasonable, great out on the actual cost of the things I mentioned, fine. soon enough, we'll record, but I made that far anyway, so. Anyway, stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you. All right. Is there anybody else that would like to make comments? All right. If there is no one else to speak, I guess we already went through the written objectives already, objections. So again, I will ask, is there anyone else who would like to speak? And then the last time, is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, with that being said, I will go ahead and officially close the public hearing, and we will go ahead and move on to item up for discussion, which would be, let me move back up, which would be resolution 2021-28. This would actually be the resolution adopting tonight's public assessment. So I will go ahead and give council a little bit of time here to take a look at we had the written objections brought to us. Give you guys some time to take a look. Everybody on council had a chance to take a look at the written objections? All right. Go ahead and open up for discussion the resolution that is on the table.
Do we go through each one of these individually, or?
I think we can talk to them as a whole.
Okay.
Done this before, so, no.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and start talking about this. Some initial comments that I have on here is that, this actually ended up being a fairly significant project for the city of Eden Valley. I know that area of town, we had looked at for years water infiltration issues into the sewer system, which was driving up, increasing costs every year at our sewage treatment plant. So, we were looking at the benefit overall of solving an issue that was only going to compound over time. So, $3.5 million is a lot of money, but street construction costs they are spendy. I wish there was a cheaper way of fixing these type of issues without spending so much capital in fixing these streets. Looking at the written objections, I do want to recognize that, if I was in your guys' shoes, I'd have questions too. I also look at too is that, the long-term benefits of having that area of town, having that improved with the new water and sewer infrastructure, storm drainage, newer streets, is only in the long term gonna benefit the community as a whole. So that's my initial thoughts and comments. Council?
Mr. Conrad had stated that the easements weren't signed right, or?
He's just requesting to look at what he signed originally. Now, that area, where the creek is, there was also some, we were trying to do some cleanup around that same area too, so.
So there was two easements. One for the creek to clean out.
One for the creek clean out.
And the other one is for the road.
Was for the road, right?
Right, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two separate projects.
Two separate projects. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Other initial comments?
I know we had talked about how long, I think we decided a 20-year term on how long they would have to, or that the payments would be. So even though it says the dollar amount here, that's not necessarily what it's gonna be yearly. But I also understand the objections of the cost of each of the dollar amounts, don't get me wrong there.
Yeah, and we do as city policy that, it's, even on corner lots, we do assess for all sides that have street access. That's just the way we've always done it as a city. There are some properties in that area that, had, pretty much were touched on all four sides of their property at some point. So.
Can Kent explain what we did with the church? Because somebody had asked about.
The church isn't here.
The church isn't here in scope.
Oh, okay, so we can't explain the corner thing and how they got charged? Or,
Well, same thing, it'd be linear foot, just like, just like everybody else.
You can certainly explain how in general it's, okay, in general.
Yeah, yeah, if you want to, Ken.
In general.
Kind of walk through that again, in general, how that's all figured out.
Yep. So the city policy on any corner lot would be, so you've got two sides touching the project. The short side, let's use some numbers here. The short side is 100 feet long, and the long side is only 200 feet long. The short side, 100 feet of that is applied, counted for the assessment footage. On the long side, only half of that distance. We call it a corner lot break, basically. So rather than going 100 foot, 200 foot, and saying you have 300 feet of total accessible footage, it's half of the long side plus the short side. So, yeah, if there were properties that had three sides, the way that would apply for the short side would assess that the full front footage that was the project and the other long sides. That would apply to any parcel.
That's what I wanted to
That
know.
had more than one side.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I think too, when you look at the scope of this project, some of the objectives that I've seen in here kind of relate to assessed value. We don't do that part, that's through the county. You know, so it's kind of, understand it, because, you know, we live here too. And we're affected just as much as you guys are. So we don't have control over that. Through this whole process, there's been a lot of thought put into this, trying to, how can we do this and still be cost effective? And because that translates back to the residents. And if I remember right, we're actually under on this project.
We're tracking this.
Yeah, so that's the way, I mean, it's, and where that goes back to is that goes back to the property owners. So obviously if that price, the total project is cheaper, then the assessments are cheaper. So that's, you know, that's a big thing too. There was a lot of work done in that area, as far as getting the roads back realigned. There is something to be said. I mean, you might not see that, you might not think the value is there, but actually there's a lot of value there. At the end of the day, it's a tough call. I mean, we don't sit up here and take this lightly. We know money's, you know, we have an aging community. People are on fixed income, we understand that. So we do the best we can, and that's kind of where we went with that 20 or 4%, just because there's no way we could do that at a 10-year deal. For the residents, it doesn't work. And that's our concern. I mean, this isn't easy for us to sit up here and say, man, that's, you know, we feel for everybody in here. That's everybody that's got to pay something. It's, you know, we're part of this community as well. So, go
Can
ahead.
I comment?
Yeah.
I understand the cost of these things, because like I said, I'm chairman of sewer board, so I know how these things work. But in this case, well, first of all, I'd like to ask, who was responsible for this pollution? Was anybody directly held accountable for that? I understand it came from that car dealership. Did anybody?
That, you know, is gonna be something that that is gonna be out of scope for this particular topic. I'd like to try to make sure that we stay on, you know, talking about, you know, the assessments and,
Okay, and so what I'm hearing here is that we as owners are sharing the cost to clean that up. Pollution. Is that a large part of it?
no, actually.
Part of this project?
The specifically to that part, the pollution cleanup was actually, and keep me honest here, Kent, was actually paid for through grants from the state of Minnesota.
That's the end goal. We
Yeah.
have to apply for refunding from the state. But any of that pollution cleanup stuff is not figured into the assessment calculation.
Yeah.
But right now, the city's supposed to do it
Until we get the reimbursement back, right? So, all right, just as an FYI, the public hearing part of this is over. We're gonna be, as a council here, we'll be keeping the discussion up here. So there was some other comment, or there was another comment out here too, talking about, you know, And Troy touched on it briefly. The way those streets were, the way that whole area was platted out originally and the way the streets were put in, I mean, it was, I don't remember exactly when, but, as you all know, the streets were very narrow there. And after doing all the surveys and going through and looking at the easements the city has and looking at the actual road right-of-ways, a lot of those roads weren't in the center. They were, tens of feet off from where they should have been. So when we started looking at and going back to having to make some hard decisions, that really weighed on us as council a lot too. Is like, okay, do we just put the streets back the way they were, or do we do it right now? So when it comes time again, we're not those streets are in the right spot. The curb's in there. Everything's put back into place where it was supposed to be put originally. So the comments to some of the objections dealing around land loss, a lot of that stuff, we didn't actually take anybody's land except for any of the permanent easements that people in the project area signed over. So if there was any re-shifting of the roads and widening of the roads, those were done within the existing right-of-way that are through the easements. And, we spent a lot of time on that. Bolton Mink spent, they did the research to find out where exactly all the road right-of-ways were in that area. So, any other?
I have one more question, if I may. Sorry to interrupt again. My assessment is $11,291. For that kind of assessment, I would hope that the city would plant those trees where they were before. I understand they're only 20-foot tall trees, and nice shade trees went down, but I think that the city should replace those trees. There's some broken part, they did it.
And
Trees out, they replaced them.
I actually smile because that is actually something that we talked about as a council, and about replacing those trees. And in order for us to replace those trees, that would have drove up the project. Again, it comes down to trying to be mindful of everybody's costs and trying to not have that, because every tree that we plant, somebody within the city is going to have to pay for it. So then that increases the cost of the project. So unfortunately, it was a decision not to replace those trees. And typically, as street projects that we've done in the past, we haven't, except on Main Street.
The other big thing with that too is if everybody plants the same tree, somebody don't like that one, or somebody wants some, or if they all plant maples and you get something come in, takes them all out, we're back to square one again. So that was the other issue.
Well, if those trees would have died when they were, then it's my responsibility to replace them. The city removed them.
All right. Any other comments from council? All right. So then what we'll do at this time is we'll go ahead and move to the adoption or the motion on resolution 2021-28. If there is no other objections or comments or discussion, I will go ahead and make a resolution to approve resolution 2021-28.
I'll second.
I have a second by Pat. Then all in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays? All right, resolution passes. Resolution adopting the assessment is approved. All right, so then we'll go on to the next part here, is on to the pre-sale report for the $1.295 million general obligation improvement for the refunding bond series 2021C, Todd Hagan, Ellers Public Financial Advisors. That's a mouthful.
Good job, Mayor. Thank you. Again, Todd from Ellers, nice to see you guys again. And so I'm here, we're municipal advisors out of Roseville, and I've been in Valley on and off, and mostly economic development, and then to help finance your, in this case, the city portion, that smaller portion of the project, basically the ineligible street and storm portions that the Public Facilities Authority will not, that don't qualify for the low interest subsidized loan. So I think back in 2013, we did the same thing on that big project where your share was much larger and the PFA was smaller. So kind of turned around this time. Rates are super low right now in the market as well, so we're not going to get the 1% mark, but we're going to get close in the market. So Cindy and Ken and myself, we've been through this process, the financial part of it, and we did help kind of package up payback structure on the EFA loans, and then to try to figure out what's left over basically on the street and storm portion to finance in the market. I know you folks had decided, like you talked about here, not going to a 10-year assessment, but a 20-year assessment on this, so that changed our course a little bit as far as how we would finance the smaller part. And so then, also at Ellers have been monitoring your outstanding bonds out there too, and to see if there's any refinancing possibilities out there. Like we refinance our house and things like that. You can refinance bonds as well. So, since we had to go from 10 years to 20 years on such a small bond issue, we actually attached a refinancing of your 2013 B bonds in the hopes that we'll get a lower interest rate on those. They're at 2.6 to 4%. That's pretty high right now. We're hoping to lower that to 1.5 or something, and save you folks almost $110,000 on the 13 years that are left on that. But we won't know until after we package this bond issue up and send it to the public market and see what we get for bids back. So I'll show you some bids later on, kind of like how Kent does it with the projects as well. So we got a larger bond issue, a 13-year refi component, and then a 20-year new project financing to kind of complete this project. And we think we're at the almost $1.3 million mark, and that's going to be attractive to the market. It's going to be a larger bond issue that all these broker dealers and underwriting firms can resell and get the job done. So that should be fine. Plus, it also warrants a bond rating, on this larger bond issue. It's more efficient this way, and it's more cost effective now to get a bond rating. I think you guys are at AA-. Last time I looked, it's been a while. We have been doing a lot of the sort of private placement bond issues lately in the form of these loans we talked about. And so we'll see how that all plays out. Cindy will work her magic with us and the analysts at Standard & Poor's in Chicago and mostly auto, so we'll see what we get back on that. So the higher the rating, the lower the interest cost for the rate. So yeah, we turn this into a nice package, I think. A larger bond issue with some refinancing opportunities. Pre-sale report is here for you guys to review. There's lots of just bond stuff in it. But it pretty much tracks to a pretty easily understood bond out in the market once we package this up. And so all the special assessments that we're talking about here, we decided to put those into, apply those to this bond issue. Just a cleaner, statutory authority for issuance of bonds. This is a cleaner way to do it. So we'll apply all those assessments to this bond issue. And then, there'll be a little bit of a levy left over. And then those other bonds or loans that were up here are being paid back in a different way. Most of the revenue is right to the system, the one that's through the system. So part of our job was just to kind of juggle all that and figure out as far as what is the easiest for everybody for drafting and bond issuance. So we're kind of on a pretty fast track here. So tonight's the pre-sale review. If you like what you see, there's just a one-page resolution to allow Ellers to, go forth and package this up and send it out for bids, public bids. Probably a little too long for a local bank, but they can certainly come and take a look at it as well if we want to purchase it as well. We'd come back on November 3rd already and show you the bids. And so between now and November 3rd, we'll do all our due diligence and again, get this all set for bidding and conference with the rating agency and all that and get it ready then for, again, November 3rd sale, and then we'll estimate a closing as on November 18th, and then February 1st, 2022, right around the corner here, that's the first time that we can call in or prepay those 2013 B bonds. And so it's all good timing, it all works out well, so that's almost swap. We pull one off, we'll do one, hopefully get a good interest rate for you guys. So what you see here with as far as what's the cash, our preliminary numbers, basically the numbers as far as the project costs and the refi costs are set, but we don't know yet what we're going to get for an interest rate. We'll see what we get, and then we'll how the cost of issuance that go into this too, and then we'll get that all finalized for you. We'll show you what it is then in November, and so there's a graph too. If you want to see where the bond market is, there's a graph also in the pre-sale report, and it just was a dramatic drop a while ago, and so it keeps kind of going up and down. And if you look at the stock market, probably don't want it, and so it's been going up and down a little bit. But the bond market doesn't track that, so to speak. It's more of a supply and demand thing. It's down at 101, so people get scared of the stock market. They sort of flee into this bond market, which is more stable, it's more sure of getting their money back and all that. So it actually helps the bond market and things like that sort of happen in the stock market. And then it's basically how many bonds are being bought and sold out there. It's been good for a while now, and we're just hoping to stay the course for you. So I can't guarantee anything right now, but it's going to be a good package deal for you to get this thing out and do two things, right? Finance that third half or third part of the project, get that all done, and then get some refinancing done for you to save some money. I'm here for any questions you might have, otherwise we've got that resolution.
Anybody got any questions for? No? All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll go ahead, And we'll go ahead and move on to resolution 2021-29. I will go ahead and introduce this resolution to be moved for its adoption. Resolution providing the sale of $1.295 million general obligation improvement and refunding bonds series 2021C. Council, have any discussion at this time? We need the money. All right. Hearing none. Somebody want to do the honors?
I'll make a motion, or I guess a second. You got a motion, right?
No, you're making the motion.
Okay, I make a motion to accept resolution 2020-129.
All right, I have a motion to approve. I will go ahead and second that motion. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? All right, resolution passes. All right, so now we can go on back to Kent for street improvement project upgrade, and along with pay request number 4. You're back up again.
Thank you. So progress on the project is moving right along. The curb is, as of today, mostly done. Curb contractor is basically done for the week. We're going to get the concrete sometime here. They're planning to be done or come back next week to work on the concrete driveways. Grading contractor will be vacuuming behind the curb, shading boulevards, things like that. So the driveways should be coming together in the next week or so. We anticipate paving the new streets towards the end of the month. Seeding and so on with the curb once all the topsoil has been graded out in the boulevards. So We're nearing the end.
Excellent. So by the end of this month, we'll have some tar blacktop there?
That's the goal, yes. That's how it's scheduled out.
Okay. All right, so we're still on schedule?
Correct.
It all depends on how much rain we get now, right?
Yes, rain is always the variable, yeah.
All right. All right, did anybody have any questions for Kent on the project update? All right, and we'll go ahead and move on to pay request number 4.
Yeah, we do have a pay request for the contractor on this project. It includes all work completed through September 24th. The total pay request is $394,347.51. We would recommend approval of that pay request.
All right. All right, Troy, you're my street guy.
Looks good. I make a motion.
All right, I have a motion to approve pay request number 4,
Second that motion?
and a second by Jan. All in favor? Aye. All right, passes.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Kent. All right, on to boards and commission reports. Planning Commission.
Hello, Jim Rundle, zoning administrator and rental inspector. We had a request for a 1-year extension for the solar farm solutions. Apparently there was some delays with Excel Energy and items that they need, they just couldn't get in order to do it, so they just asked for a 1-year extension on that. We voted to approve that extension and recommend you do the same thing.
All right, you want us to do that now for you?
I can go through the list and you can however you want to handle it.
Okay, all right, you got other stuff for approval too? All right, let's run through it all.
Okay. And then we had a trucking company reach out to me. They were looking at buying a building in town. Sell through, but we don't have a place for a trucking company in the city of Green Valley. So we discussed it, that the industrial park would be a good place if we ever had another one want to come in. So we had a public hearing, before we show up for it, or putting it right in. So we agreed, or voted to allow that, change the code, adding a trucking company to, and the middle. The last one was a lot combo, or basically REI, 321 Roger Street. The property that they want to join is just too small to build anything on it by itself. So basically, I would assume that they want to join it so they can eventually or future add on to that building or put parking lot on it or whatever. So we also voted to approve that. Those were the 3 items on the planning side of it.
All right, then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put on the table for just a motion to approve the solar club extension for 1 year, amending the zoning code to add trunking company as permitted use in the industrial park, and then the approval to allow the combining of a couple lots for REI.
I'd like to amend that, it's actually for Shoreview Holdings, which
Okay.
rents from, their RIE rents from them.
Okay,
So I just want to make sure that we get that publicly correct.
okay. All right, does that mean you make the motion?
Sure.
All right, I have a motion by Pat,
Second.
second by Troy, all in favor? Aye. All right. You're good to go.
And rental, you guys have, any questions on that?
On the ones that are expired, are we working with them to get inspections scheduled or
All but one.
all but one?
All
Okay,
but one, and that's the one that's being sent to the city attorney.
okay. All right. Anybody have any questions questions on that? How are things going with the inspections?
Good. I mean, there's the ones that are expired. They're the same ones that are expired every time we go through it. And it's the same group of landlords that I have issues with, we have issues with, other items. Those are expected ones, you know, you kind of figure that into it. Pretty good.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Darren? No?
Are we getting close on our time frame for our, on Coleman?
I think so. Still thinking about the go back stuff today.
Me too.
I was gonna look that up. I think it's end of October, wasn't it?
Yep, I actually think it was, yep. It's progressing.
Yeah. Moving, but it's moving slower than
Yeah.
expected. Assuming they're gonna come and ask for an extension.
All right. Anything else? All right. Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
All right, on to departments. Oh, Cindy.
I have, the bills in front of you to be approved. Bills totaling, 1.151,827.23. And I need a motion to approve payment of those.
All right, motion on the table to pay the bills. I will go ahead and make that motion.
I second that motion.
Second by Jan. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thielen's wasn't in there, right?
Well, he's not here,
Correct.
so.
Doesn't matter. It's fine.
He's not here, but there wasn't one in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason it's so high is there's the 900,000 last payment request, so. That's all that I have, however, Nancy with EVC for P had asked to be put on the agenda, and I told her if she could sit through the meeting, I would include her under mine. Because the meeting was packed and I didn't want to add anything to the agenda, but if you want to, yeah.
I'm Nancy McNabb. I'm here on behalf of the chamber, actually, and
Sorry.
after all of this heavy-duty stuff, I want to talk about Christmas trees for a minute. So, last year we did a community decorating contest through C4P. I believe we're going to do that again. But with your permission, I would like to do an additional one through the chamber, where we have a business adopt a tree, the 10 trees that you've planted on State Street. 9 plus a Charlie Brown tree by the railroad tracks. It's not quite big enough to qualify, but we're gonna try it. So I need permission to decorate them and permission to plug them in before I can proceed with any of these plans.
Okay. Any concerns there, Mr. Public Works Director?
As long as the lights get taken down.
I knew you were gonna say that. I saw that in my spiel.
No worries.
That was coming.
No worries.
That'll be the agreement with the business that adopts the tree.
Perfect.
So it'll be a contest for them, so they'll be responsible for putting on, taking down.
So is this gonna be kind of like a fundraising event, or is this just a fun thing to do with the community?
I think just a fun thing. We'll have a trophy for the top 2 winners and just get our Main Street put up.
Very cool. Yeah. Anybody in council have any questions for Nancy?
Good idea.
I love that idea, actually, yeah. Let's make this official, though. I'll make a motion to approve to allow the Eden Valley Area Chamber of Commerce to use the trees on Main Street for what'd you call it, a Christmas tree adoption?
Yeah, something.
Tree adoption.
We don't have the title yet.
Yeah, all right. Title to be determined. So, motion to approve?
I approve.
I have a second by Jan. All in favor? Aye. Very cool. I'll be looking forward to it. Nancy,
Yeah.
do you want to take a minute to talk about the Business Expo?
I can.
Yeah, why don't you
Can I steal your quote? Wait.
Oh, if you want, yeah.
So they don't get anything.
And before you do that, I do have one announcement I would like to make. After quite a few years of being the actual the chamber president, chamber chairman, I think I went under a few different titles with the Eden Valley Area Chamber of Commerce. As of October 1st, I've officially stepped down from that position. And Nancy here has graciously taken over as president of the Eden Valley Chamber of Commerce. I couldn't be more proud of what the chamber has done these last few years, especially after relaunching. Even through it all, through dealing with COVID and having to make some adjustments and delay a few plans. I'm in awe of what the chamber has been able to do in such a short period of time. So, and I think they'll be under good leadership with you at the helm.
I appreciate it. Thanks. I'm looking forward to holding that role. So expect more Christmas tree conversations in your future. Just saying. So we have always had a business expo as part of Valley Days in the community center. This year, we, as a chamber, decided to hold off on that and actually have an expo. Everybody has always come in, set up their table and gone because they're all so busy with 42 other things during Valley Days that there's never been anybody there to answer questions or talk about their business. So we're doing an actual business expo. It's on November 6th, which is a Saturday from 10 to 3 at the community center. We just sent out invitations to 100 businesses in the area. And first one came in, they just went out and I got a booking already today. So we're gonna have food in the kitchen that's being provided by Valley Days as part of their section. From 3 to 4 that afternoon will also be a job fair. So if they've got, because everybody's hiring. So hopefully they'll get some applications during that day too and hopefully be able to help staff themselves a little better. So we're looking forward to it. It'll be fun, I think.
Very cool.
Any questions?
Oh. Thank you, Nancy.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, and then what we'll do next is we'll go over to Zach.
Oh, yeah, a little update from the water board. We got our generator at the well, the preparation part of it all completed and that grant turned in. So I believe we got reimbursed already for that.
Yep.
So that's great. The new generator, I'm in the process of getting that ordered. That's the actual generator itself. And, we applied already for that grant, but that won't get awarded until the middle to end of November, so. But, yeah. And we also had the filter media and the water plant tested. And I got those results here. I'll get them out. Looking good, looking very good for being 20 years old, so. Kent and I are gonna go through it over the winter and things kind of slow down for both of us and take a closer look on what action we should go with next if.
You never told me things slowed down for you over the winter.
You're just asking for a bunch of snowstorms.
Yeah, don't jinx yourself.
Yeah. Yep, so that's what I got for the water board update. And, we'll be flushing hydrants in town next week. Fred's Park's all closed up and winterized.
And as far as like the fire hydrant flushing, is there anything the residents of town should be aware of that's going on?
Oh yeah, you may experience a little cloudiness in your water. So try not to, if it is a little cloudy, run your water a little extra till it clears up. But typically it's pretty pretty clean, so.
So like, what's happening? Was that you on top of the water tower tonight?
The guys were performing some maintenance. There was two little welds that were broke, so they're welding that back together and touching up some paint.
All right, anybody got anything for Zach? All right, thank you, Zach. Ernie?
I gave you the monthly report, emailed it out a little bit late. I usually get it late, but you got it, it's in your emails. Another thing we've been having, major complaints on like Jake break-ins. I mean, you guys live on highways, you know. We've been getting numerous of these trucks, giving them warnings, we're working on getting signs ordered, I think, correct, Cindy? Working on it?
They are ordered,
They are
and now
ordered.
we're just waiting for the state to put them in.
So the state's gotta put them in, so we've been giving warnings, try to let the other company know that, you know, we're not enforcing because we don't have it posted, but we've been getting a few of them. I think it's gotten a lot better. There's still some doing it though. So we're slowly trying to pick them off as we can catch them and say, you know, you need to, you know, not do it, please, because it does get annoying for everybody. The other thing I was gonna talk to the council about is, I've had some people approach me on possibly making Eden Valley a quiet zone in reference to the CP rail with the whistle that goes, I mean, they blow it every time they come through here, doesn't matter the time. I finally did get a contact number to contact in reference to possibly requesting, starting the process, to try to make this a quiet zone. So just bring it up, me and Cindy, when I get time, and I haven't talked to her about it, but I think I'm gonna team up with her and see if that's something the council is interested in working towards, a quiet zone in Eden Valley. We have stop arms at all our crossings. So,
So there wouldn't be any potential safety concerns with them not doing the whistle?
they got the stop arms, I mean, that's what they're for. I mean, that's why I'm asking you, I mean, if you don't have stop arms automatic, that's why they do the whistle. I mean, they'll give you plenty of notice that they're coming, and plus they all got lights. So, I guess the council is something you want us to proceed with or look at. I mean, we get a lot of complaints on trains. I mean, people that are not from here moving are like, holy man, that thing, they don't ever stop, which they don't.
We don't wanna be really concerned about this here intersection, wouldn't necessarily be concerned about the two out of town ones, cause I would think they're far enough out that, at this point, that it shouldn't affect anybody in town.
Right, so I mean, it's gonna be more, I'm thinking for our major crossing here. I mean, cause they can blow it the other two, cause they're both out of town, so it's not gonna affect us. I mean, you'll hear it, but it's not gonna be like when you're right on the tracks. Cause they blow it right before they get to it, and then another time, and then when they go by it, and. I mean, it's something you want us to maybe pursue and look into and maybe get back to you on?
I'd say take a look into it, get some information on that and bring it back and.
Yeah, I just got the guy's name and number to get a hold of who to talk to that handles that. And I'm guessing there's gonna be a large amount of paperwork to try to make that happen, and it's gonna go to a lot of different people. So hopefully Cindy will team up with me and help me out with that maybe.
Don't you really think that County Road 9 over there, that crossing too should be a quiet zone because you got the apartment?
It's not in the
That's not in the city limits,
It's
so.
not city
And
limits.
neither is the other one.
Yeah, neither one,
There's the other one on the other side, so.
neither one of them are in the city limits. I mean, the main ones is our crossing, that's one we'll focus on. I mean, it's been a major complaint forever, and they do come through here, I mean, they're booking. I mean, they upped the rail speed here probably, 3-4 years ago when they were hauling all the oil. So they actually upped the speed on the tracks here,
And they're longer too.
a lot longer.
Yeah, a lot longer.
But, I mean, quiet would be nice, you know, I mean, I think there'll probably a lot of people be happy about that. But there's not a lot we can do with trains, other than put in a request and start working through the process. What that is, I have no idea. But I just want to get the council's approval if we want to at least look into it and start trying to gather some information and possibly work towards the end result of a quiet zone, which I think everybody would be happy with.
I agree.
There's a lot of requirements for that though, more than just the stop arm.
Well,
I'm sure
there might be, Troy, I don't know. I mean,
Oh, and look into it, I mean, that's.
we got an initial number that.
I mean, yeah, we aren't gonna know until.
No, I mean, you gotta
until
look
somebody
into it,
looks
that's fine, I think there's a lot of requirements for it, and I think it's very expensive.
Very, very possibly true, but you got a number to start, and you're probably gonna sit in the back and about that thing and say, good luck, talk to me, get done, about 5 years.
Hopefully they bore you with the reading and then you forget about it, but, yeah.
Right.
There's places that do it, you know, there's places that have quiet.
Watkins is doing it, aren't they?
I think so. So, we'll look into it through that.
All right,
Just let you know, we did get that other part-time spot filled, Reggie Sandstrom. We hired him as new guys on the 422, he's actually taking Pete Mo's place. He went to Texas now, he's actually in Texas. And Reggie was hired, actually, official hiring date was 10/1, he actually worked a shift on 10/2. So, the good thing about his and my schedules are opposite, so that's a good thing. So, he's gonna work some shifts, and I think he's excited to pick some hours up, and, he's also full-time in Meeker County, so he's full-time Meeker County deputy, which, that saves us some time and training and blah, blah, blah. I'll just give you that update, and that's all I got.
all right, perfect. Anybody got anything for Ernie? All right, and we'll go ahead and move on to other, anything from council?
Yeah, is it usually every year we set Halloween time for trick or treating?
6 to 8.
It's 6 to 8.
It's just 6 to
It's
8.
always 6 to 8.
Put that out, so.
Yeah.
We should get that in the paper, I think Cindy, when you ask that question, we should already on.
And same thing, leave the porch light on if you want to look trick or treaters?
Paper, I think, yeah, Cindy, got it, Cindy's already on.
Okay, that's all I have.
We'll get it out.
Social media.
Yep.
6 to 8, if you don't want trick or treaters, don't trick or porch light.
Now the
It's
candy.
Sunday this year, so it should be pretty busy. One would think.
One would think, yeah. But that always plays into it. All right, anything else? All right, then we'll go ahead and we'll move on to upcoming meetings. We've got this will be a council meeting budget workshop for October 20th here at City Hall at 7 p.m. And with that being said, I will go ahead and adjourn our meeting tonight. Have a good night.